All right. Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining me today for this 1 hour AWS hands on training session. If this is your first time joining me, don't worry. All of my previous videos have been recorded. You can find a playlist in the description of all of my videos. Even in the description of this video, you'd find the links to all of my most important resources that I share with the public. With that said, as mentioned on the flyer, today we're going to talk about EFS, okay, a very important service, okay. Um, Before we move on, please make sure you're logged into your AWS console. Again, as you all know, this hands-on session is so that you can really get hands-on, right? And like I always say, I started this because I get a lot of questions from a lot of people. Some people would say, even, I have my solutions architect certification, but I don't have a lot of hands-on. How can I get, hands-on and, something to show recruiters and all that? So these sessions, I have been getting lots of positive feedbacks, right? If you look at my template resume, all of these weeks, I've put most of them on my template resume. I've worded it the way, I feel it's best appropriate to word it. So if you go through any of these videos, you do the hands-on, all of the projects I list on my template resume that will make you stand out, you also can list them on your template resume. Okay, so week by week, that's how I want to progress with what we're doing here. And hopefully at some point, again, like I always recommend, keep applying every day. Once you get your resume to look like my template resume, start applying every day, okay? 2 to 3 jobs a day. Don't let a day go by without you applying to jobs, okay? Keep applying, and before you know it, you'll be ready to share your success story with me as well. All right, I'm in my management console. Okay, just like I always like to check, if in the chat, can you type the number 3 if you are in your AWS management console as well? Give me the number 5 in the chat real quick. Who is in their AWS management console? Remember, this is not a session for you to just look at what I'm doing. You have to get your hands dirty. Okay, that's why I'm doing this 1 hour sessions. Get your hands dirty, be able to put this in your resume. Okay, good. I see a couple of 5s there. All right, so let's get started. All right, now EFS. How about we do a quick whiteboard? Okay, so usually when companies have developers, or even sometimes just other regular tech staffs, they need a lot of space. Okay, and when you launch a server on AWS, sometimes you just want a type of storage that is not attached to the lifespan of your server. Okay, think about that. A type of storage that is not attached to the lifespan of your server. And look at this example. It could be because.
Sorry, Mukta, you're not sharing your board.
Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Oh, sorry. Oh, thank you. Sorry. Yeah, I didn't share yet on my Zoom. Let me go ahead and share. Yeah, thanks for bringing that to my attention. Share screen. Which screen do I want to share? Screen 2. Share. All right. Can everyone see my whiteboard now? Go back to my chat. Is it good now? Let me pull up my chat. Okay. All right, good. Okay, thanks, Jibril. And thanks, I don't know if it was Jibril that also brought that up earlier. Thank you. All right. So, think about this, guys. Think about this. You are the cloud architect or the cloud engineer at your company, right? You have let me see, what app example should I use here? You have a PHP MySQL application, right? PHP MySQL application, okay? And you have an application that is highly available. So in essence, you're not just using one server, you're using 2, right? So if this server fails, your end customers, your clients can be routed to or let's say your users can be routed to the other server, okay? So you know how to do all that stuff. You've watched my previous videos, right? PHP, MySQL, app, the same app running on both machines. Okay. Now, um, you have been informed that you don't want to store the code that these servers pull in on these machines, right? You don't want to store them on these machines themselves, right? You want to have like an external storage, right? That whenever you launch an instance, let's say you're launching a third instance, right? Whenever you're launching an instance, any instance you launch in the future can just pull your code from an elastic file system. Okay? So any new instance that you have, you're not copying and storing the code on the machine. Okay? You're not copying and just storing the code permanently on the machine, or you have a single machine whereby the storage on that machine, it's not, it's, how will I put it? It doesn't grow to petabytes. Okay? The most realistic example here would be, as you launch new machines, let's say I launch a third new machine here, PHP MySQL. Okay? These machines will pull the code that they need to run the application from a separate file system. When I say file system, just to keep things also easier for everyone here who are not, maybe you're not, very tech savvy yet, I think of this as a flash drive, right? A flash drive that when you need to run your application, the application code would be pulled from what? From this flash drive. And when I'm saying flash drive again, please think of what we're calling a file system. Okay, so think of it as this huge flash drive. Look at where I'm still at. This huge flash drive that's going to store your code and any other files, right? Any other files into wherever you want it to go. And in this case, only, look at this, very important, only on Linux machines, not Windows. EFS only to what? To Linux machines. Very important. All right. So you add a fourth machine. I like to repeat a lot, just to make sure we're all on the same page. So you have your EBS, you have your EBS, you have your EBS. Okay, you have your EBS. Okay, and we all know what EBS is, right? From our previous sessions or from wherever else you've learned that from. Just think of this as the hard drive of your server. Okay, the hard drive of your server. Now, when you launch a new machine, how do you get your code onto this machine right here? How do you get your code onto this machine right here? It's easy. You just mount your what? Your EFS. When I say mount, think about you just plugging this, quote unquote, let me put here, flash drive, because that might make it a little easier for some of us to understand. Okay, flash drive. You plug in your flash drive and you just get your code from there. And think about this flash drive, this EFS, this flash drive, as being able to hold, I don't want to say unlimited data, but huge amount of data. More data than your what? Your EBS on your individual machines can hold. Okay? So because your machines cannot hold that, maybe the file is very large or something like that, you can mount a flash drive, right, onto your servers. So in essence, it'll look like what? Your machines have this amount of storage, but they don't. Okay? This is a managed service. This is a managed storage service from AWS. Okay? And you can use it to connect to your what? To your servers. I hope I didn't confuse you guys too much. I want to open the floor now. Quickly, let me see if there's any confusion so far. Please ask now. I'm giving 2 minutes before I move on. This is very important that you understand this concept. Any questions? Unmute and ask if you have any questions so far. Or if it makes sense, then we'll continue in about a minute. Anybody, any questions? Is Ronnie here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, nice. Ronnie, we miss you. I haven't seen you in a while. Good to have you back.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, is that NFS? Yes, it supports NFS. Yes, it is NFS, Ronnie. Let me just pull out where's my Zoom? Okay, here it is. All right, just looking at your chats. Okay, what else do we have here? Thanks. All right, so guys, we're gonna move on. Okay, in summary, you have a server, right? And you want to what? To pull your code from a central location. A central location where your company is storing documents, where they're storing application code. And some of you might be thinking now, so far in my videos, I've been using S3 and we're able to easily, and S3 has unlimited storage, and we're able to easily pull from S3 onto, our servers. Yes, some companies use S3, and for some other use cases, some companies would use what? Would use EFS. Okay, some companies would use EFS. Now, what I want us to do now is go to the console now. We will create this quote unquote big flash drive that can hold up to petabytes of data. When we create this elastic file system now, okay, this EFS, this flash drive, we will create two instances. Okay, I think this will make sense more when we do the demo. We will create two instances. Okay, they have to be Linux instances, and so far that's what we've been using in all of our videos, because Linux is what's used mostly in development environments, the most popular. We're gonna launch two instances, and we're going to what? We're going to mount. We're going to plug in our flash drive into these two instances. Okay, in other words, we're going to connect our EFS. We're going to mount. You're going to hear this word a lot in the industry. Mount your file system. When they say mount your file system, think about you plugging your flash drive into both servers at the same time. Both servers can write to the flash drive at the same time. Both servers can copy from the flash drive at the same time. But please keep in mind, I'm just saying flash drive to simplify things, okay? Because I know perhaps 100% of us here know how flash drives works, right? Now think of this again as a flash drive that you can use on thousands of computers at the same time. Think about you being able to plug in one flash drive to thousands of computers at the same time and create files on that single flash drive and copy files from that single flash drive. But guess what? This flash drive can have up to petabytes of data. We're talking huge amount of data than your individual computer can handle. Okay. All right. I'm here now in my AWS console. I'm gonna go ahead now to, let's go ahead to EC2 first. Okay, I want to show you guys something. Go into your console and type EC2. Okay, EC2. Let's go to security groups. This is very important that you do. Okay, because when you talk about EFS, it uses a protocol. All right, for you to talk to an EFS system, you need to allow the NFS protocol on a particular port. I don't know the name of the port, but the system will automatically set up the port for us. Here's what I want to think about, guys, as future cloud architects or current cloud architects, just getting more hands-on. Here's what I want to think about. Okay, in the security group of our servers, okay, we're gonna create now, to keep things a little more secure, we're gonna create a separate security group for our EFS, for this big flash drive of ours, right? We're gonna create a separate what? Security group. Okay. Now our servers, like we've normally been doing, think of this as our servers that's gonna host our PHP application or your Node application or your Java application. Okay. So now we want to create a central repository where we pull code from. And this time around, not from S3 like we've done in the past, from an EFS file system. Okay. So we want to create, are you all following? We want to create a separate security group, and then this separate security group that will specifically be for our EFS file system, we're going to say that what? Allow NFS, this NFS protocol from our web server. Okay, let our web server be able to talk to what? This EFS security group on the NFS protocol. We have to do that. It will make sense once we set it up now. I think I already set it up before, but let's do it again. I'm gonna just call, let me delete it. Let me delete this. This was for my testing. Let me delete this. Actions, delete security group, delete. Okay, gone. All right, let's do it again. Okay, let's go ahead, create security group. Okay, this is the security group for our flash drive, for our EFS, Elastic File System. Okay, let's call this EFS SG. Okay, allow web servers to EFS. Okay, you can say allow, just something that's descriptive. Allow our servers to EFS, to our EFS system. Default VPC, leave it as your default VPC. Okay, leave it as your default VPC. Don't add inbound rules yet. Or actually, we can add it now. Okay, let's just go ahead and add it. As you can see, it has nothing. Go ahead and click on add rule. Okay, go ahead and click on add rule. Drop down, search for NFS. Look at that. I just typed NF and I have NFS coming up. Select that. Okay, go ahead and choose, leave it as custom. Now look for your web server security group, because we're going to launch our servers and our servers will be using the web server security group. So for our web servers to be able to use the EFS, we need to set up this this connectivity to our EFS security group. Okay, so think of this as I always like to simplify, right? Think of this as this EFS that you're creating, this flash drive, it has a specific door, okay? And that door has a number, right? That door has a name and number, port and protocol, right? This is the type. It's going to be NFS. The protocol is TCP. Usually you see TCP or UDP. And then look at the door number, right? Think of this as, before you open that door to be able to put things into EFS or to copy things from it or to delete things from it, you need to have this door number, right? This security lock on this door that needs to be open on the EFS, okay? I hope that makes sense, okay? So these are common things that you see a lot in the industry. A third-party company needs to talk to your own application, but from your own application, you need to open a certain door, right? When I say doors in these sessions, I want you guys to think about ports, protocols. Well, it could be HTTP, it could be SSH, it could be, well, in this case, for EFS, you need to have this door number open. You need to have this port number and this protocol available, open to your what? To your web servers. I hope that makes sense. I just heard an audio. Did someone have a question? Was someone about to talk or someone just joined? Okay, moving on. Web server security group. Please see what I just did, guys. Web server security group. If you've been following my session so far, you guys should have web server security group, Elastic Load Balancer security group. What else? Database security group. Okay. If you don't worry. You can continue to watch the video. Once you catch up with us, you will all of this will make sense. Okay. And you can do this again, and it'll just flow smoothly. Okay. So our web servers are going to use this. Let's select that to say that what? This door, this security group that this EFS is going to use, please allow servers that are using this web server security group to be able to what? To talk to you. Okay, to be able to use you. Okay, so let's go ahead and click that now. Okay, let's go ahead and click that now. Outbound traffic, leave that to all. Okay, now go ahead and click on create security group. Okay, all right, now that's done. Okay, now that's done. We have our EFS security group. It's allowing our web server security group to talk to it, and we have NFS open. This door needs to be open on the EFS security group. Okay, for anyone to be able to talk to it, you have to allow that source. Okay, you have to allow the source. All right, now let's go ahead and launch instances. We're going to launch 2 instances real quick. Okay, go to instances on the top right there. Go to instances. Okay, I'm at instances. Go ahead and click on launch instances, guys. Launch instances. Okay, go ahead and select this Amazon Linux 2 like we've always done in our past videos. All right, T2 Micro. I think someone is unmuted. If you all can check your audio and mute, if you don't mind, please. Thank you. T2 Micro. Okay, like we've always done, T2 Micro. Now go ahead and configure instance details. All right. Now, what are we changing here? Leave your network, your default VPC as default. Okay. Availability zone, I want you guys to choose 1A for this first server. Again, we're going to create 2 servers. Okay. Now in this AZ 1A for the first server. What else? Role. Don't forget that. S3 SSM. So we can what? Who can tell me in the chat real quick? Why do we need this role? What is one thing that this has been helping us do a lot? In the chat, real quick, before we move on, come on guys, you know this. Why are we giving this role to this server? S3 and SSM. Session manager, very good. Session manager, so we can remotely connect to this server. Okay, using session manager, which is more secure than opening SSH port to the servers. Okay, what else, guys? I think that's all from here. Don't worry, we're not going to use any bash scripts here. Add storage. Let's go ahead and add storage. Okay, 8 gig is fine. Next, add tags. Let's add a tag. Let's give this name, and let's call this server 1. Okay, configure security, and then click on configure security group. Okay, let me pause a little bit here. I know I might have gone a little too fast there. Just give it a name, add a tag, give it a name, and call it server 1. Okay, server 1. Next, click on configure security group. Make sure you check this. Select an existing security group. Okay, and then choose what? Web server security group. Okay, for this one, web server security group. Review and launch. Go ahead and click on review and launch. Okay, and then go ahead and click on launch. All right, I have my own key pair here that I'm gonna use. Okay, you guys should have yours that you've been using for the previous sessions. And then go ahead and click on launch instances. Okay, go ahead and click on launch instances. Now the instances are launching. I'm just going to click on the ID here to go to the console. Okay, now we have the instance running. Okay, if you have a filter, please remove the filter so we can see other instances that we're also going to launch. Now let's launch another one. Okay, let's launch another one. Click on launch instance again, guys. Click on launch instance again. Oh, shutdown behavior. Solartech, thanks. Yeah, shutdown behavior. I should have put that to terminate instead of, yeah, that's fine. Thanks for bringing that up. You guys, if you did that, that's fine. If you did not, that's fine. You can always terminate completely at the end as well. Okay, I'll show you guys in this second one. Thanks for bringing that up. Again, Amazon Linux 2. T2 Micro. Okay, T2 Micro, free tier eligible. Configure instance details, default VPC. Let's use 1B now in this case. Okay, 1B. Shutdown behavior. Instead of stop, terminate. Okay, but at the end of the day, if you're gonna terminate, use the terminate button instead of shutdown. Okay, for the first one. And now for this one, we're saying even if we click on shutdown, terminate. Okay. So just make sure you change this to terminate. If you did not, that's fine as well. As long as you click on the terminate button when you need to terminate, it should terminate. As long as you're not clicking on shutdown, which will stop instead of terminating. But in this case, we're saying even if you shut down, terminate. So if you did either, that's fine. Okay, just make sure you terminate at the end of the day. What else? Role. I almost forgot that. Role, S3 and SSM role. Okay. All right, now moving on. Let's add storage. Okay, Add storage, 8 gig is fine. Tags, give it a name, type server 2. Okay, give it a name and call it server 2. And then configure security group. Okay, configure security group. Select an existing one, web server. We're assuming this is one of our web servers. Okay, now click on review and launch. Okay, now click on launch. Okay, I acknowledge. Make sure you check I acknowledge. Launch instances. And that's it. Go now, click on the ID here now. Now remove this filter right here. This filter is making you show just this instance that you just launched. So remove this filter right here so you can see all of your instances plus the ones that are pending and whatnot. Okay. Okay, we can refresh. All right, and please take note, guys, I'm in Northern Virginia. Okay, as you all at least previous attendees, I always use Northern Virginia. Okay, so keep that in mind, Northern Virginia. All right, so our instances are running now. I'm gonna duplicate this tab. Okay, I can just right click the AWS right here and open link in new tab. I want to use this new tab to go to EFS. Okay, now I'm gonna go to EFS, select EFS, all right, let's click on create file system. Okay, let me pause now and ask, is everyone with me so far? Give me the number 7. If you're with me so far, type the number 7 in the chat. You're not lost. Everything is good so far. You're not too confused. Okay, just 2 people. Come on, it cannot be 2 people. We have 13 people on this call. There you go. Okay, awesome. Awesome. Okay. All right, moving on. Let's click on customize. Okay, we don't want to, this one will quickly create it for you with like default settings, but let's look at the settings. Okay, I want us to choose regional, leave this as regional, choose customize. Okay, choose customize. Now let's give it a name. Let's call this EFS. Just call it EFS or EFS test. Let's call it EFS test. Okay, we want to make it regional. In this case, if one AZ goes down, if one availability zone goes down, your flash drive, okay, your EFS will still be available for you to use. Why? Because it's redundantly set up across 3 availability zones. Think about when we're doing S3 as well, right? You use one zone, if that one zone goes down, your storage is gone. Okay, so but again, it's very rare that you'd have an AWS availability zone go down and you lose your data like that. Okay, but you know, for as a best practice, okay, always leverage, especially if this is for production environment. Okay, if this is something that you're going to constantly use, okay, it's not something that you don't mind losing. Okay, then always choose the option that supports, that has, you know, the ability to store in multiple availability zones. Okay, so in this case, when we create this flash drive, this EFS flash drive, AWS would put it across 3 availability zones. Okay, think about 3 different cities, 3 different locations in the same region. Okay, whereby they're separated by electricity, you know, by floodplain. So if one availability zone is destroyed by flood or power outage or anything like that, it will not affect the 2 others that your data still resides in. Okay, so a lot of companies will choose to have this type of redundancy, fault tolerance. Okay, so let's choose regional. Okay, as opposed to choosing one zone. Okay, we're going to choose regional. All right, enable automatic backups. Okay, it will use the AWS backup service to create a backup for you. In real life, I would say yes, leave this checked, okay, so that you have some sort of backup, okay. Although you do have it across, 3 availability zones, as a best practice, it doesn't hurt. Yes, there will be some charges to also setting up backups, but it shouldn't be a lot, okay. It shouldn't be a lot. It depends on how much your data grows. In essence, as a best practice in production environment, I would recommend that you enable automatic backups, okay. In case you make a change that you didn't want, okay, you can go back to your previous backups, and pick up from there again, okay. So enable automatic backups. Additional pricing applies. So keep note of this message right here. In this case, guys, I'm gonna uncheck it, okay. Here we're just testing, okay. I'm gonna uncheck it. Life cycle management. Automatically save money and access patterns by moving files to standard infrequent access storage class, okay. So in this case, just like S3 as well, if you have this data staying for over 30 days and you haven't touched, you haven't moved, you haven't done anything to it, then let AWS put it in a storage class that is cheaper, okay, as opposed to keeping it in this storage class that is costing you more and you're not really using the data that much, okay. Maybe because after 30 days, it's data that you don't use that frequently anymore, or after 90 days, or after, okay. So these are the options that they have here. After 90, if the last access to this, file system is last 90 days, hey, let's move it to a storage tier that is cheaper, okay. So in this case, let's just leave it to 30 days. Let's leave it to the default, okay, or we can say 90 days. That's fine. Leave this a general purpose. This max IO, if you're doing like other type of big computing jobs, right, with this EFS, okay, you want you want fast read and write because you're running, let me see what examples are there. Big data, okay, you're doing genomics, right, this thing that require high throughput, right. So in this case, the servers would be the read and write from the EFS would be very fast, but in general purpose also is fast, and you can leave it at that unless you have specific use cases where you need even faster, consistent, IO. Okay, throughput mode is busting, or you can provision as well. Again, for those specific use cases that requires high throughput, if your engineers know what they're doing, they can set a number. Okay, they can set a number for that, for the throughput that they want here. Okay, so let's just use bursting. Okay, general purpose and bursting. Think of this as autopilot. Okay, in our case, we'll leave it in this general purpose and bursting, so that as the performance is increasing, the performance is needed, it will burst to that. Okay, it'll make it work in an efficient way. Let's just leave it as that. All right, encryption. Like I always recommend, leave the encryption as default. If you don't have a key in KMS yourself, just at least use AWS default encryption. Okay, so in this case, we're going to do that. We're going to enable encryption of data at rest. So AWS will use a key that it has to encrypt this data for us. If your company policy is no, we create our own keys, and then you can do that as well. You can customize the encryption settings and choose the key that you want to use. But in this case, it'll use the default key for EFS. Okay, that's going to use for EFS. All right, tags. We're not going to tag this. A tag could be, you could say that this EFS that you're creating is for your web server. So we could say, for example, name, and give it a value of web server. So in this case, we know that we're creating this EFS specifically for our for our web servers. Maybe tomorrow we want to create another EFS, right, for our database servers. Or maybe we're creating this EFS for different applications. So we can give it a name and say for our soccer application. Or we can give it a name and say this is for this EFS, this flash drive is for our e-commerce application. Okay, you get the gist? So in this case, we're just going to say set web servers. Okay, we're creating a file system for our what? For our web servers to be able to what? Pull code from, and we can mount this flash drive too. Next, we're going to remove all of these default security groups. Okay, remove them because this is just allowing everything. We don't want that. Remember, we created a specific security group for our file system. Okay, and that security group only what is going to approve who to talk to it. Who can tell me in the chat? The security group that we created for our EFS, who is it going to allow to talk to it and use it? Come on, guys, you know this. I want to make sure you guys are awake. Okay, very good. Web server. Okay, very good. One server. Web server. All right, let's go ahead and close. Remove all of this. Security groups, remove. Look at what I'm doing, guys. Remove, 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 remove. Okay, now let's go ahead and add ours now. Okay, EFS SG, look at that. Mine is showing up right there. EFS SG, click outside, go to the second one, EFS SG, click outside. Third one, EFS SG, click outside. EFS SG, click outside. EFS SG, click outside. EFS SG, click outside. Okay, all right, we're using our default VPC. Okay, let's go ahead now and click next. Okay, we're not going to do any additional policies here. You can have some policies here to do some type of restrictions. We're not going to do that. Whoever mounts to it, can have permissions to read and write from it. But look at other options here, though. These are maybe some requests from your maybe senior engineer that when you create this EFS, please make sure you are enforcing in-transit encryption. So all of those you can enforce using these policies right here. But here we're not going to do any of this. We're just going to click on next. Okay. So now here's a summary of everything. It's giving us a summary of what we've set up for this file system. Let's go ahead and click on create now. Okay, now that was very fast. Usually creating this EFS file system should take some time, but now as you can see, immediately it says it is available. So let me refresh again. So before I move on, can you all give me the number 5 if yours shows available? File system state, see here, file system state shows available. All right, very good, guys. Now think about this, guys. Within your company, for any server that you plug this flash drive into, that you mount this EFS into, they have unlimited storage. Okay, don't take unlimited storage as just think about huge storage. Okay, petabytes is huge. Okay, but I want to say unlimited, up to petabytes of data, right? They can all plug in to this EFS now and start reading and writing and creating their own files and folders on this EFS, as long as they mount to it. Okay, always remember that word. You mount the EFS to the server you want to be able to use it. Okay, you connect that flash drive, okay, to the server. All right, so it is available, and also our EC2 instances are available. Good. All right, now everybody go to your Google Drive. Look at this. I already put all the commands here for you guys, as I always do with my with all of these labs. Okay, if you go to your to the drive, you would see something called EFS notes. So go ahead and download that. Okay, to your folder. Go ahead and download that and open it up. Okay, we need the commands in here. All right, we need the commands in here. Okay. I'll give you guys 1 minute to do that. I think we're good on time today. I'll give you guys 1 minute to do that. All right, download this EFS. I know someone might ask the link to the Google Drive. Let me paste it in the, I'm going to paste it in the chat. Okay. Unless everyone here has it already. Okay, I just pasted it in the chat, guys. So remember, what you're downloading for today is EFS notes. Okay, EFS notes, so that you all can have this file on your computers as well. All right. Let me know when we're ready to move on. let me split my screen, okay? Let me put this to the right and put this to the left and go back to EC2. Okay, so I have my instances running. We're gonna connect to server 1 first, okay? Am I good to go, guys? Number 3 in the chat. Am I good to continue? Number 3 in the chat. I'm good to continue. You guys have that file downloaded. Awesome, awesome. Vince, Ronnie, Solartech, anybody else? Come on, guys. I need you all to chat. Stu, Jibril, very good, very good. Let's move on. All right, so here now we have server 1. Let's go ahead and click on connect. Okay, click on connect. Session manager is loading, it's loading. Okay, yes, we want to use session manager to connect to this. Oh, it logged me out. It logged me out. Let me go get my account ID. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me get my sign in here. I need to sign in again. It logged me out. All right, I'm back in. Reload. Okay. All right, let's go here. Let's go here. Let's go here. Where was I? EC2. All right, back to my EC2. We want to connect to the servers and plug the USB drive into them. Mount the EFS onto the servers. Isn't this cool? Like, think about one flash drive you can plug into thousands of computers. All of the computers can read and write to that one flash drive. Physically, it's not possible in real life, right? But this is how it works in development environments where you need this type of flexibility to pull your code from what? From one central location onto the server that needs to use it. Okay. Instances. Where's my other instance? There it is. All right, let's start with server 1. Let's click on connect, session manager, connect. Okay, so take note, this is my server 1 loading here. Here's my server 1 loading. Okay. All right, I'm inside of my server 1. Okay, now let's go back, cancel, choose server 2, connect. Click on connect at the top right there. Click on connect. Also session manager to also connect it. So let me just move this and just so that I have server 1 and then server 2. So this is, you guys see that? This is my server 1 and this is my server 2. Okay. If you want to know which one is server 1 and server 2, so you put your server 1 first before your server 2. I know you don't really need to do this, but just I just like to make sure that my server 1 is here and then my server 2 is here. Okay. So this is my server 1. Just look at the ID. Okay, this one ends in BB. So is this my server 1? Let me cancel here. Is this BB? Yes, that's BB. So this is my server 1 and this is my server 2 and this is my server 2. So server 1. All right, guys, let's follow the code here now carefully. All right, let me move my video. Okay, move my video. All right, first is sudo su. Okay, so we don't have any permissions issues as we move forward. All right, sudo su, enter. All right, now let's change to our root directory. Okay, when I say root directory, think about, for those of you that are very familiar with Windows, think about we're going to our desktop. Okay, all right, so cd / and hit enter. Okay, now let's do ls. Think about this as you opening your desktop to see what files and folders are on your desktop. So type ls. Okay, hit enter. Now this is what we currently have. This is what I currently have. Okay, this is what I currently have on my desktop. These are the files that I have on my desktop. Okay, now what I want to do now, guys, is I want to make a directory. Okay, this is how it works with EFS. Okay, you need to create a folder. Are you guys following? You create a folder, and this folder, you want this folder to be using your what? Your flash drive, your EFS. Okay, you want this folder to be using your what? Your flash drive. Okay, So in this case now, let's go ahead and click and let me just copy it. I already typed it out here. Copy and then just paste here. Let's make a directory. Let's make a folder that is going to what? That we're going to use to mount this flash drive to. Okay, so this folder would be using this EFS for the storage of whatever files and folders it has inside of it. Okay. So make directory EFS, click on enter. Now let's do ls again to make sure that our desktop reflects this new folder that we created. So do ls, enter. Is it there? Let's search. It's right there. I see it right here. Do you guys see it? Right there, EFS. Okay, so that's great. It's there now. Now we need to grab a command. We need to grab a command from our EFS file system. Let's go back now to EFS. Okay, I'm gonna switch this. So here's my EFS console. I hope you guys still have this open. Here's my EFS console. Here's the flash drive that we created. This flash drive that can have petabytes of storage. Okay, here's the EFS file system, Elastic file system. So go ahead and click on open. Okay, click on attach, guys. Click on attach. Okay, when you click on attach, it will tell you how to attach this to a folder that you want to use it with. Okay, in this case we have already created this folder, guys. Okay, we've already created this folder, this directory, as we normally call it in the Linux environment. Okay, now click on copy. This icon right here will make you copy this code that you need to what? To mount this file system to that folder. Okay, to that folder on the desktop, and that's the EFS folder. So click on copy, guys. Click on copy, and you can close this. You can close. Okay. Usually, I would recommend you use this second one right here, and not this first one right here. Right. I recommend you use this second one, unless you're using the EFS mount helper. But don't worry about that. You can read about that later. But let's just use this. Pretty straightforward. Copy the second one. Close. Now let's go back to our server 1. Okay, I'm inside of my server 1. Okay, now I'm going to paste that now. Okay, paste that code. All right, now I've pasted it. Sudo mount -t nfs version 4, and then you have all of that, and then it has the the DNS to that file system. We're mounting it to EFS. Okay, now click on enter, guys. Fingers crossed. I hope this works. If it doesn't work, troubleshooting time again. Okay, we've done everything correctly, at least to the best of my should I say knowledge. We've created the security group to keep it more secure. We didn't use the default security group that allows everything. We are allowing by the way, default security group do not allow anything. Okay, let me just clarify that. Default security don't allow anything, but usually people will go and change it to allow all, but usually you want to be careful, right? Allow only source that you trust. In this case, we're trusting our web server security group. So if someone from outside is watching me now and copies this code and think they can use my EFS and dump a lot of things in there, they cannot do that. Why? Because the server that you're going to use to connect to it is not part. Oh, that should have been a question for you guys. Why am I saying that? Someone unmute. Let me test. Okay, someone unmute. I didn't finish saying what I wanted to say. Someone unmute and tell me why someone cannot copy my code and use my EFS. Really quick. Someone knows this. I know one of you knows this. Unmute and tell us why.
Because of the IP.
Because of the IP. Why the IP though? Who's this? What's your name?
Well, determination. The name is Gaia, but I'm under determination.
You're under.
We cannot copy because that's you have EFS. We're using our EFS.
Okay, I know that's Ronnie. Who was the other person? Is that Solar Tech?
No, I'm new.
Oh, you're new. Welcome. Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah. So Ronnie, a great point though. Great point. But here's it. Ronnie, what was your point again? Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. What was your point, Ronnie, again? Ronnie, I think you're on mute. What was your response again?
Sorry.
No problem.
I mean, we cannot use the command from your nodes or from whatever you show, because that's your EFS. So we need to mount to our EFS. That's different EFS resource.
Right, that's my EFS. But Ronnie, it's a DNS, right? It's a DNS. If someone has access to, I don't want to give away the answer. Ronnie, you're close, right? But I'm looking for something specific.
That's it.
There you go. Continue, continue. Uh-huh. Who was that?
Security group where you designed it just from your web server.
Exactly.
Anything apart from work.
Exactly, guys. So that's the point. Every other person that made an attempt, Ronnie and the other person, great thought process. Okay, that also makes sense. But the reality is, it is the security group. Whatever server they want to use to mount to my EFS, it will not allow it because it is not part of my web server security group that is specifically allowed to talk to this EFS security group. Okay, so guys, please, as you're designing in your real life jobs in your environment, think about security with security groups. Okay, very important. And also, this is one thing that usually gives people a lot of headache, right? You're like, why is my application not working? Why can't I connect it on HTTP, HTTPS? Think about the security group and what it's allowing, right? If it's a public application, that means HTTPS needs to be open to what? To the public, 0.0.0.0. If you want it to be private, because you're testing for now, right? Just don't open a security group to 0.0.0.0.0, right? Or the load balancer to 0.0.0.0, right? Open it to just what? To the security group of your web servers rather than what? To 0.0.0.0. If you've watched my previous sessions or if you've been part of my previous sessions, I know by now, that all, connects now and makes sense. Okay, so here's my flash drive. Here's my NFS. Now let me click on enter. Okay, hopefully I didn't get any error messages. Please, no error messages, please. Guys, no error messages. It looks like it works. Okay, so let's go to that folder now. Okay, let's Control C, paste the next code, paste. Let's go into that folder now. Okay, we've mounted to the folder, saying that what? Anything we store in this directory, you're using our what? Our flash drive that is managed by AWS that can go up to petabytes of data. Okay, now let's go into that directory now. Let's do an ls. Okay, there's nothing in there. Okay, which is what we expect. Okay, we haven't put anything in there yet. Okay, we're not going to the second server yet. Okay, we're not going to the second server yet. Now, what I want us to do is what? Use this code. For some of you, please make sure this S3 bucket exists. From the previous codes that we've used before, I just picked one of them. You can pick any of the code, okay, in your S3 bucket. Okay, we just want to put some files in here. Okay, we're just copying some files and putting it in here in this folder to see if it will be what? If it's available in that EFS. Right? Now, how are we going to find out if that file system has these files that we're copying into it? We're going to look at that second server that's also connected to the same what? EFS. Okay, that will tell us that what? Whatever we put in this folder now, or any server that we've mounted this flash drive to, this EFS to, we should be able to see those files in there. Now think about this carefully, because I know some of you might be confused a little bit there. This is the other server. Okay, this is the other server. Okay, we haven't mounted the EFS yet. Now, before we mount, we want to put something in that file system first. Okay, so now if we put something in there, that means if we mount another server, which is going to be our second server, if we mount our second server to that same EFS, then guys, we should be able to see the files we've copied into the EFS, right? Now let's test. So this folder, you can, again, you don't have to do this. If you know how to work with Linux, you can copy any file from your desktop, from your Linux, okay, or from your computer into. But just to make things easier, I'm just copying something I'm downloading something from my S3 bucket into this folder, just to put some files in there. It could be any files, guys. It could be any random files on your desktop. From anywhere, you can copy it into this folder, and then that means the what? The file is going to exist centrally on your what? On your EFS with AWS. Okay? All right, so let me copy this. Don't worry, you guys will have your questions to ask at the end. Some of you might have questions. Let me copy that and paste it here now. Again, remember, this bucket exists for me in my own. So go to your S3 find the bucket name that you have in your S3, and then change this node sucker. This was from our last lab, right, where we hosted a Node.js application. Okay, so this bucket still exists for me. It has a bunch of files in there. So let me go ahead now and copy those files in that S3 into this EFS folder. Okay, remember this dot stands for what? The current folder that I'm in, and the current folder that I'm in is my EFS. Okay, I'll click on enter. It looked like that worked. Now again, remember we're still in that EFS folder. Let's do ls. Now all those files are in there, guys, for me. All those files are in there. Okay, all those files are in there. Now guys, let's go to the second machine. Let's go to the second machine. Let's say your company has brought in another developer. This developer needs to be able to what? To read and write to that EFS as well. Okay. All right. Now let's do the same thing. Sudo su on this second machine. Sudo su enter. I'm on my second server, guys. Okay. For the first server, we're done. We've mounted the EFS. We've added files to the EFS. We've used ls to see that what? The files are in there. Okay. Now on the second server, sudo su, the same thing, the second command, cd /, you go to our desktop, our root directory, as you call it, go type ls, enter. Okay. Of course, you're not going to see the EFS here because we haven't created the folder here yet and then mounted this the file system. All right, now what's the next thing? We already did ls. The next thing now is what? Let's make a directory as well. Okay, paste, make directory, EFS, enter. Okay, now if we do ls again, on this second server, EFS should pop up. There it is. EFS is right there. Okay, now let's mount again let's mount that file system. Let us mount that file system. Where is it? Attach again. I click on attach so I can get this code again to attach my second server for our new developer that just joined the team. All right, make sure I'm on my second server. Okay, I'm on it. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and paste. Okay, click on enter. Okay, that's done. Guys, I have mounted what? My new, I've mounted that flash drive, that file system, that elastic file system to this new server. Okay, now let's go into the folder. If we go into the EFS folder, guys, I want you all to unmute and tell me, whoever knows the answer. If everything worked correctly, if we go into our EFS folder now that we've mounted the flash drive, what should we see in the folder? Who can tell me? Unmute real quick.
It should see all those files.
Exactly. Fingers crossed. Let's see if that works. Okay, I mean, we didn't get any error mounting it, right? And we made sure we created the folder, the EFS, we mounted to that folder. Okay, now let's see. CD now. Oh, I was changing my, let me click outside of that. All right, CD, EFS, enter, LS. Done. Guys, it works. Now we can connect what? 500 more servers, 1,000 more servers. Everything can connect to this file system and write to it. I want to call your attention to something. For all of you that understand Linux and how Linux works, okay? This supports what you call the POSIX. POSIX, what do you call it, guys? POSIX standard, right? What am I saying here? If this user creates a file here, okay, if they don't change the file permissions, any other person that mounts to the file system will not have the permission that they're not given. So if I on this computer mount and I create a file or a folder, okay, unless I do chmod 777, meaning user, group, and others, give them read, write, and execute permissions, then someone here in this other server who wants to work on the file that I created from my machine with my user account, okay? And when I say my user account, my Linux, you're inside your Linux user account, okay? So here we're using root. We're using root in both. Okay. So, but in essence, if you have a user here who creates a file, they own that file. Okay, unless they change the permissions for that file to allow users, group, and others to use it, to read and write to it, read, write, execute. Only then will other people be able to read and write, execute. Okay. So think about that. Usually, when you create a file, every other person will have, read permissions, but sometimes you want to change that, right? Maybe I create a file and another developer needs to what? Needs to be able to make changes to that file. When they mount to that EFS and they go to the folder that I created, I have to make sure from my end that I've already set the permission for the file or the folder to be what? To be read, write, and execute on that file or on that folder for anyone from anywhere else to be able to what? Read, write, and execute on it. Does that make sense, guys? Yes or no? Give me a 5 if that makes sense on the chat. Give me a 5 if that makes sense. Okay, good. All right. Actually, let's do this. Let's see the file permissions. ls-al. Right? Is that it? Yeah. So look at the permissions here. Okay, for all of the files that I have in here. Let's pick an example. This folder right here, the blues are folders. Okay, the blues are folders. The white ones are files. Okay, so this one. So for user, group, and others, as you can see, execute only. For group, execute and read. For the owner, read, write, execute. Okay, read, write, execute. And you can change the permissions to each one of these files or folders, right? If you know about Linux, you know about the numbers, 745, 755, 777, 777. You got to be careful using 777. Who can tell me why in the chat? Unmute real quick. We're done. Unmute real quick. Tell me why you should be careful with using 777 on a file. Anybody knows this?
Giving everybody the read, write, and execute.
Very good. Thank you, guys. With that said, we have come to the end of today's session. I'll think of what other hands-on to do next week. I know some of you might be like, for the past 4 weeks, I haven't updated my template resume to add this new project. Don't worry. Hopefully this week I'll be able to work, and formulate how you should word it and put it in your resume. I know I've been saying it for the past how many weeks now, but hopefully I'll be able to do that this week. But if you have the time as well, you can just write something up and add it to your resume. Okay, but I do look forward to helping you guys, word this out and put it on your resume as projects as well. With that said, I have about 5 minutes. If anyone here has any questions, otherwise, thank you all for joining. And I know there was like a 5 weeks breaks. There was Ramadan, there was Eid. I had to take some break at that time. But we're back now. Unless there's something stopping me from having this 1 hour sessions with you guys, I will continue to learn more and more and put this hands-on our resumes and be able to stand out and get those jobs. With that said, if there are no questions, thank you guys for joining. Okay, please.
I have one question.
Okay. Before you guys, before I forget, before other people drop, please share these videos on LinkedIn. Please tag me. When you get any success stories, any good news you want to share, find me on LinkedIn. Tag me. And say what helped you, my article, my resume, whatever it is, my messaging you and replying to your messages on LinkedIn on what to do. Please let me know on LinkedIn, tag me. That way more people are aware of what I do, and other people can benefit as well. Okay? Okay, floor's open. I think I heard Ronnie first, or was it Jibril or someone else? Who was that?
Yeah, I can ask a quick question. It's just observation.
Yeah.
Matters Azure AWS, right? It's kind of file share from console. It never has the capability to allow you to upload or edit or even show the list of files. But let's say if S3 or the Azure storage, you could show all the files.
Yeah.
Why is designed this way?
So it's designed this way. I think it's all because this has a specific protocol that it supports, right? With S3, it's if you make it public, everyone will be able to view it. You don't have to open any ports or anything like that. All you just do is simply make the S3 bucket public, right? And you can see all your buckets in your console. But in this case, you don't want to do that, right? It has a specific protocol that you need to allow, and that server that you need to use to connect to it needs to be allowed, right, on the NFS server to allow that machine. Okay, so think about the use case there would be, this is specific to your organization. Okay, this is a file system just for your organization. This is a file system that you're allowing NFS port only to the computers that you trust. Okay, someone cannot just grab the DNS, although it's a managed service. Someone cannot just grab the DNS and go outside and connect to your file system. Okay, or just open it up, go to the link, and then they're able to see all the files in your file system. No, they have to have NFS open to their machine to be able to read and write to it, or to be able to read to it based on the permission that you have on it. Okay, so Ronnie, in essence, that's just the difference between them.
That makes sense. Yeah. It's not something like a S3 or the blob storage.
Exactly.
HTTP 443. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone else wanted to add something or ask a question. Who was that?
Yeah, me, Vince.
Vince, hey.
Yes. Oh, this is my first time here.
Ah, nice. Thanks for joining. Have you messaged me on LinkedIn before, or was that another Vince?
I think I've messaged you. Yes, I have. Yes.
Okay. Good. Nice to have you here.
Okay, so my question is, what about a situation where you have different developers and you mount you can mount the EFS on their
machines,
servers,
yeah,
right? Now they now have the ability, you've given them the access to be able to write to that EFS, right? Now they write a file to the EFS, but they don't give you access to read the file. So how can you control it in such a way that everybody can have access to files on the EFS? Because you can make me, I don't know if you get my question.
Yeah, I see where you're going.
Because you can allow me to mount the EFS to my server,
yeah,
and then I add a file, and then I don't allow you to read that file.
Yeah.
So how do we create that commonality where everybody can have access to all the files on EFS, since it's based on permissions, really?
Yeah, so in essence, if I understand correctly, let's say I'm the security team. Okay, we create the file system. Okay, let's say creating this file system is the job of your security team. Okay, so they make sure they create the right security group and all that, and allow the right machines. Okay, and you at the other end. So that's the thing with EFS, right? It's for your developers to have that flexibility, to have their own space. Okay, think about, you create a Google Drive for them. Okay, if you give them a Google Drive, it's for them to have a space in there to be able to whatever they want to share, they share. Whatever they don't want to share, they don't have to share. Okay, does that make sense?
Okay.
Right, so I'm a developer today. You allow me mount to that flash drive, to that EFS file system. I mount to it. I create a file. I don't give the file read or write permissions to others. I mean, that's what I want to do. But at the end of the day, it all depends on your policies. Okay, you tell them, whenever you create files and folders, please open it up for, especially if it's an application folder, right? You want other developers to be able to work with it as well. So if I look at the file and I see that I cannot write to it or I cannot open it, I'm gonna just message you, right? Internal communications, and message you and say, hey, change the permissions on that file so I can work with that file as well. So in essence, that's how that would work. I think it's a matter of having that conversation. I cannot say for 100% if you can write a policy that would say, as the root user or as the creator of the EFS file system, you should be able to view all files. And no, I don't think that's possible with the use case for EFS. Yeah, but at the end of the day, just have that conversation with them. Hey, you created a file on the file system. Within your development team, right? You ask, who created this file? I cannot access this file. Please, change the permissions on the file so I can access it. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. But can you see the list of all the mounted servers from your own end here?
Can I see? That's a good question. Can I see if server 2 mounted to this EFS?
Yes, then, yeah.
Ah, that would, that would be nice to just see here. Let's see. I'm not sure, but we can I'll look into it and see if there's any opportunity for that. Let's see if you open it. Let's see, monitoring. Would it show who's mounted to it? I don't. Is this something that's possible in CloudWatch? And see, oh, client connections. I'm seeing here. Look at this. This might be it. Viewing metrics. That's a really good question. Me as the admin, can I see how many people have mounted to it?
Yeah.
This 1.5 here is confusing me. I would have said two people have mounted here, but I don't want to say this is exactly what this means here. But it looks like it is what it means, that two people have mounted to the
Looks like it.
because this says client connections, so we can see here two. I will assume it is. Let's all do our homework and see if this is what this means, okay? And then we can talk about it more next week. But I really strongly think this is it. Client connections is two. All right. This video has been going for long. I can take one more question if anyone has any more question, but don't forget to delete this file system, guys. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead now and delete it.
Okay, I got a quick question. So
Yeah.
concerning the mount, does it have to be on the root directory, or you can put it anywhere?
Concerning the mount, does it have to be? You should be able to pull it from anywhere. I'll test it now, but just because of time, you should be able to go into any folder and create a folder and mount it to that folder, and choose a folder you want to mount it to.
So you could use any name. You don't have to be EFS. You could just use any generic.
Yeah, you could be. Yeah. You can mount it to your Apache folder, right? You can. There's a way people actually do that. Where your code resides would be using EFS instead of your own volume on your server. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, you can mount it to any whatever folder you want. All right. Any other question? Why am I saying any other question? I need to I need to end this like right now. All right, guys. Thank you. It's been a great session. I will see you all next weekend. Please don't forget, share the YouTube videos. Your likes would make the video be seen by more people. So go ahead and all of you and whoever's watching this later on, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button on the YouTube videos, so these videos get more visibility. Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. I'll see you all next Sunday at 11 a.m. US Eastern Time. Thanks. Have a great rest of your week. Don't forget to delete everything, okay? Your servers, your EFS, everything else. All right. Take care. See you guys next weekend. Bye.